First, we watched it fly.
And when I saw it, I thought, this has got to be something pretty spectacular.
Then we found microphones that heard it.
Now we're at ground zero with the hunters who found it. Hi, welcome to Daily Planet. I'm Jay Ingram.
And I'm Zaya Tong. Now, usually when you get a late night phone call, it's kind of annoying, but the one we received last night was anything but.
That's exactly right. Daily Planet got word that the remains of that fireball that lit up the prairie skies last week had been found on a frozen pond about 40 kilometers southeast of Lloydminster, Saskatchewan, in a place called, get this, I am not making this up, Lone Rock. And thanks to that phone call, our cameras were the first on the scene today to get a look at these tiny remains from the giant fireball. Alan Hildebrand's a planetary scientist at the University of Calgary and joins me now. So, Alan, could you tell us what the moment of discovery of these was like?
Well, I've got to say, if you want the moment of discovery, it was certainly exciting for me, but Ellen Milley, a grad student from the University of Calgary, spotted them first, so she gets the title of discoverer here.
Now, where were they, and where was she at the time?
She was passenger side of my car. We were driving up this road. We were looking for meteorites. Ellen looked out over the lake, saw a couple of dark things on it, and said to me, there's a couple of black things on that lake. So I stopped the car and went out to have a look, and first one was indeed a rock, and the second one actually looked a bit like a meteorite, so I went back to get a hand lens, a magnifying glass, and have a closer look, and lo and behold, indeed it was. And Ellen has joined a very exclusive club here. I think, I'd have to check, I think this is only the 75th meteorite found in Canada.
Now, so how many fragments are there on the pond in total?
Well, we started documenting this. Ellen kept hunting, and she found 8 more, so there's at least 8 meteorite fragments in that pond. That's about half a hectare in size, so you can get some idea. There's a very thick fall of meteorites here.
Now, do you think, Alan, that there are many more fragments to be found in other places?
Oh yeah, the meteorites will have strewn across the country, say 8 kilometers north to south, up to 3 kilometers east-west. I would expect there's going to be thousands here, 10 grams or bigger. The smallest we found in the pond was about 10 grams. The biggest, one of the first 2 that Ellen saw, about 250 grams.
Do you suspect that there'll be much larger pieces than that?
We certainly do, for several reasons. Very big fireballs, strong rock should make big pieces. We have been looking for them this morning, but we haven't found any yet. Also, the eyewitnesses who were nearby described seeing, of course, after the spectacular fireball in the sky, seeing numerous red fragments continuing. We interpret those as, of course, the rocks, large rocks, decelerating through the atmosphere. They're the big ones going to, fall down to the ground. So, each one of those rocks is probably going to make a meteorite the size of your head or bigger.
Now, the calculation was that the original body was maybe the size of a desk, 10 tons. Why would it fragment into such relatively small pieces?
Well, it's, a wild ride through the atmosphere. This one came in slow, but that's still a relative term. It was, 13 or 14 kilometers a second. So, it hits the atmosphere 13, 14 kilometers a second. 5 seconds later, it's about down to 0, so it's got to scrub off a lot of velocity in a hurry, and that leads to a lot of this explosive fragmentation. So it's, it left a dust trail behind in the sky. Most of it turned to dust, and, what we have down here in the ground is the part that survived. And we'd guess, of that 10 tons, maybe 10% survived, so we expect about a ton of meteorites.
Now, the fireball was seen from incredible distances away. I talked to somebody who was in Edmonton and was startled by it, and the infrasound records come from much further. How are you able to pinpoint as well as you did this area?
Just a matter of triangulation. The proximal witnesses, of course, you know, if anyone, say they're plus or minus 10 degrees, if you can find someone who is only 10 kilometers away, they can give you a better idea. And so when you have that kind of information, you can draw a pretty small box, and happily it turns out to be right.
And so what's next, Alan?
Oh, lots of things, and at some level the work just starts here. The scientifically exciting thing about this meteorite, or one of them at least, is going to be we have enough information to calculate the pre-fall orbit. We've only been able to do that 9 times before. We have more than 10,000 meteorites, but we don't know where they come from, so to speak, except in general terms, and this one we will know exactly. We would very much like to get some pieces. The ones on the pond have melted into the ice a little bit, so they've been exposed to water. We'd very much like to find some on the dry land here, haven't been exposed to water, because some freshly fallen meteorites, just 10 years ago, were found to have salt crystals within them. It hasn't rained, only been one very light snow here, so we think you know, this meteorite, if we find some pieces here today or tomorrow before it snows, we will be able to do studies like that, and that would really be quite exciting too.
Well, it's quite exciting already. Congrats to you, Alan, and to Ellen especially, and thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Alan Hildebrand, a planetary scientist at the University of Calgary, joined me today from southeast of Lloydminster, Saskatchewan.